وارفع الخفاق أخضر يحمل النور المسطر، رددي الله أكبر يا موطني.
موطني قد عشت فخر المسلمين، عاش الهدي للعلم والوطن.
سارعي للمجد والعلياء، مجدي لخالق السماء.
وارفع الخفاق أخضر يحمل النور المسطر، رددي الله أكبر يا موطني.
موطني قد عشت فخر المسلمين، عاش الهدي للعلم والوطن.
لبيك اللهم لبيك، لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك، إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك. لبيك اللهم لبيك، لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك، إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك. لبيك اللهم لبيك، لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك، إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك. لبيك اللهم لبيك، لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك، إن الحمد والنعمة لك يا منان يا ديان يا غفور يا ودود يا رحمن يا رحيم لك الوجود يا شريك لك الله. لبيك اللهم لبيك، لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك، يا الحمد يا نعمة يا رحمن يا شريك لك الله. لبيك اللهم لبيك، لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك، يا الحمد يا نعمة يا حليم يا شريك لك لبيك. لبيك اللهم لبيك، لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك، إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك. لبيك اللهم لبيك، لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك، إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك. لبيك اللهم لبيك، لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك، إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك. لبيك اللهم لبيك، لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك، إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك. لبيك اللهم لبيك، لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك، إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك. لبيك اللهم لبيك، لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك، إن الحمد والنعمة لك يا منان يا ديان يا غفور يا يا نعمة يا حليم يا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك. لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك يا منان يا ديان يا غفور يا ودود يا رحمن يا نعمة لك والجود يا شريك لك الله لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك يا الحمد يا نعمة يا رحمن يا شريك لك الله لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك يا الحمد يا نعمة يا حليم يا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك يا منان يا ديان يا غفور يا ودود يا رحمن يا نعمة لك والجود يا شريك لك الله لبيك شريك لك لبيك.
Let's start on what we're seeing right now with regards to equity markets, because we're seeing significant downside in Asia. We're also looking at revisions to the global growth outlook, and oil prices also now sub $40 a barrel. Is this putting particular strain on GCC economies?
Thank you very much for having me. I think for the GCC economies, we've identified three channels of transmissions of the COVID-19. The first channel is through the oil price. I think, as you probably have seen, S&P Global Ratings has revised its assumption for oil for 2020 to $40 from $60. And then if you look at the oil is one of the principal export product of the GCC countries. And if you look at the geographic distribution of exports, you can see, for example, that for Oman, more than 53% of exports go to country where we see cases of COVID-19 either high or spiking, so which we qualify as high-risk countries. So this is the first channel of transmission. Second channel of transmission has to do with everything that is related to travel, tourism, and also the real estate sector. And here there's two countries in the GCC that could be impacted. Number one, Saudi Arabia, and number two, the United Arab Emirates. Now for Saudi Arabia, they receive every year more than 20 million tourists. Most of it is for religious purposes. For the UAE, there's more than 17 million visitors every year. And also you have Expo 2020, which is scheduled for October this year and expected to attract 25 million people. Most of it will come from abroad, according to the officials. And I think the key question for Saudi and for the UAE is whether there will be an impact on the pilgrimage season for Saudi Arabia and on Expo 2020 for the UAE. And also for the UAE, I think the real estate sector is another sector that could be hit, because if you look at the contribution of Chinese to the real estate transaction in Dubai, for example, they contributed 1% in 2018. But beyond that, I think the question is whether all what's going on and psychological effect on the expats would weigh on their decision to get a foot in the market this year, even though the interest rates are declining, which would make mortgages a little bit cheaper. And the third channel of transmission that we've identified for the GCC is through the access to the capital market. I think if you look at the capital market over the last few days, there have been extreme volatility, and we think that the issuers with weak credit story would probably find it more difficult to access to the market this year. Now, if you look at the GCC, this means that Bahrain, Oman, and maybe also some corporates in the UAE will probably find it a little bit more difficult to get to the market this year. I think we all remember a few days ago, Dubai Islamic Bank has decided, for example, to cancel its project to issue sukuk this year.
Absolutely, so some key pockets of risk there. I want you to unpack the situation here in the UAE in particular. You mentioned Expo 2020. This is meant to be a major economic catalyst for the country, attracting about 25 million visitors over the course of 6 months. Is there a risk that this event could be perhaps postponed or pushed back as a result of the virus? How are you assessing it?
I think we don't know at this stage. We don't know. We take the assumption that the virus will be contained in Q2 this year, but we don't know whether there will be an impact on Expo 2020, whether there will be an impact on the pilgrimage season, which is expected to start in July 2020. If that were to be the case, then obviously the economic impact on both Saudi Arabia and the UAE would be higher than what we currently expect.
Absolutely. Matt, jump in here.
Thanks very much. Hi, Mohammed. Is S&P actively reviewing sovereign ratings of the number of nations that you were just talking about to Dan a few moments ago, and which is most at risk of a potential ratings downgrade as a result of what we're seeing, the hit as a result of tourism from COVID-19, but also the big plunge that we've seen in oil prices as well?
Thanks for that, Matt. I think our role is to tell the credit story as it evolves. And I think if you look around in the GCC, if you look at our rating distribution, you can see that Bahrain, Oman are the weakest in terms of rating compared to the others. And then you can see that Kuwait and Abu Dhabi attract the highest ratings in the region.
So Mohammed, what does that mean for the outlook here? You mentioned that we're now seeing this all-out price war and battle for market share between Saudi Arabia and Russia. This has pushed oil prices down significantly. This could have major consequences for an economy like Bahrain, which has a significantly higher fiscal break-even price. Is Bahrain at risk of being downgraded?
I think from an economic perspective, there will be an impact on the whole region. I think whether it's through oil, whether it's through tourism, whether it's through access to the capital market, I think there will be impact on the whole